Back on CBS Sports HQ, the age-old strategy of QB year one, tackle year two in play for the Tennessee Titans. A better-than-expected rookie campaign out of Will Levis urging Tennessee brass to scoop up some first-round insurance. Good as Geico, J.C. Latham. Head to the Music City. Shout out to the sponsors. A shout out to our guys as well. Doing hard work, not just this week, this weekend, but all year long. Getting these names, getting these guys, and it didn't take long to get to J.C. Latham, Tennessee, scooping up the tackle that you loved in pre-draft and really headlined this group for Tennessee. And
don't forget, Joe, day 3, the working man's day. So no ties.
No ties.
And
working man.
We're going at it. And J.C. Latham can be described as a working man, too. I gave the Titans a C+, not because of J.C. Latham, more because I, like the Joe Alt conversation before the break, if he's a right tackle only or right guard, which he also played at Alabama, can he play left tackle? And Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan apparently think that he can. So there's some uncertainty there. If it hits, it's an A+, but I have to grade it, so that's why I gave it the C+ as we sit here. T'Vondre Sweat, I thought, was drafted too high, even if there weren't the off-field concerns from a few weeks ago prior to the actual draft. I don't know if you draft a 360-pound defensive tackle who's a two-down player. That said, and I said this last time on the podcast, Rick, when you line him up next to Jeffrey Simmons, maybe it looks a lot like when he lined up next to Byron Murphy, and that's something you can get behind.
Yeah, yeah. Excuse me. I don't know why you're going to question Bill Callahan.
That's true.
Who's probably the best offensive line coach maybe in the history of the NFL about saying that J.C. Latham can go over and play the left side, but that's your opinion. But we all, you know, the biggest room in the world is room for improvement. We all can improve.
How lovely.
Motivational speaker Rick is here.
Some of these guys down, I thought they were really good picks. Gray, the linebacker from North Carolina, very athletic, needs to get a little more physical taking on blockers, but is a 3-down linebacker. Jaquan Jackson, we both loved him. The slot receiver, I think, has got big playability for him. They continue to add weapons around Will Levis. Now they got an offensive tackle that can protect him. And then your guy, James Williams, who was a safety at Miami that converted to linebacker. We saw him play a little linebacker down at the Senior Bowl. That was a little rough in the transition, but I imagine they're going to put him at linebacker, try to develop him there.
Will Levis getting some help there. Not alone in that strategy. The Colts at some point going to tackle to protect Anthony Richardson, who we only got a glimpse of, but it was a fun glimpse early last season. Looking forward to what this year holds for that young man, a tackle and a wide receiver in those first 3 picks. But the first pick, Laiatu Latu, the edge out of UCLA, our first defensive player selected, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that was the case. It was like weeks ago. Laiatu and the rest of this class, we've seen a lot of A's. This feels like a good class here out of the Colts once again.
Now, this is an A and bordering on an A+. Rick doesn't like pluses or minuses, but this class, Chris Ballard absolutely crushed it. You talked about Laiatu Latu, they get edge rush help there. Sort of surprising that he was the first defender to go, but he is the most technically sound of the pass rushers in this class. A.D. Mitchell was somehow there in the 2nd round. He is the first-round talent, and he's going to be a downfield threat to pair with what they have in Josh Downs, the slot receiver they drafted from a year ago. And Rick, I know you like Matt Gonsalves out of Pitt. He's probably going to move inside. And then they got Tanner Bortolini, who has center guard versatility. So they're bolstering the offensive line on the inside to protect their investment in Anthony Richardson. And then they get another slot, a guy that I liked a little bit better than you, Anthony Gold out of Oregon State. Small receiver, small catch radius, but he does catch everything you throw to him.
Sometimes. He had a couple drops, especially coming inside, but I do like his athleticism and his speed when he does catch the ball after the catch. But I liked what Chris Ballard did. I mean, he's going to be another one of these GMs that don't care what anyone thinks. If I see a player up there, Latu, he had him as the #1 edge rusher because he had his option of going either with Verse or with Dallas Turner, but they felt Latu was the best edge rusher, so that's what he's going to do. And I thought they got a steal with A.D. Mitchell. I think he's still raw as a route runner, but his athleticism, his size, his ability to go downfield, we saw that in some of the clips. I think he's got it, and boy, was he mad. First time I've ever seen a guy get interviewed that was actually really mad that didn't go earlier. Usually you're pretty happy about it, and then Chris Ballard had one of those epic press conferences defending him and telling everybody else that they're full of BS. Why do we put these kids through it? So I imagine A.D. Mitchell's going to come in with a big chip on his shoulder to go along with Pittman, to go along with Downs last year. They should have some explosive weapons around Anthony Richardson.
The tangent conversations that come off of the draft, always entertaining. The sound bites that we get, they are fantastic. There were some sound bites coming out of Jacksonville last year that did not breed a whole lot of belief. Things sort of went sideways at the exact wrong time. How does this group change the way you're looking at Jacksonville next year?
Well, sound bites and visuals. Hopefully Tony Khan is okay with the neck brace. Hopefully that works out for the owner's son.
That was
there.
Notable.
Yeah, he leaned into the bit for 3 full days, so shout out to him for that as well. But in terms of the Jaguars and their draft class, Rick, I gave it a B-. I love Brian Thomas Jr. We saw him down at the Pro Day when we were watching Malik and Jaden Daniels there. I wonder if they maybe missed out on an opportunity to get Terry and Arnold there. But again, they circled back and got 2 cornerbacks in Jerry and Jones in round 3. I didn't love him as a round 3 pick, but clearly the Jaguars started differently. And Deontre Price, out of Missouri. Javon Foster, the Missouri tackle, I like a little bit more than you do. I wonder if he has to kick inside. And they did get defensive tackle help also from that LSU Pro Day, it turns out. Mason. He got me saying Mason Smith with a French accent.
Mason.
And then
Mason Smith.
And then Jordan.
Oui.
So,
don't let us get off your game. Stay in. Come on, stay focused. We got one more division to get through.
Right. So, Monsieur Spielman, what do you think about this Jaguars draft class?
I don't know. I'm all flustered now. They needed to get speed at the receiver position because they got to get weapons for Trevor Lawrence. And when they lost Calvin Ridley to Tennessee, they needed to get the best receiver that could take the top off coverage. And to me, that was Brian Thomas Jr. Mason, as you like to say, I call him Mason Smith,
It's the double A.
Yeah, it's a little bit like Arik Armstead, who they signed from San Francisco when he got released. Big, long, physical, has a lot of upside. I think he still can develop as a pass rusher. He can play against the run. We saw him work out down at LSU's Pro Day. This guy can bend for a big guy. Reminded me a little bit of Barmore when he came out of Alabama. That's up there playing pretty well in New England right now. So I thought they did a good job. A couple of these as you go down, you're kind of like hoping that these guys can develop. They're solid, steady, but nothing splashy.
We're going to take a look at those odds in just a moment, but by my estimation, they're all chasing this next team in the Texans. Such a big step forward when they got it right twice over last year. Rookies of the year, both sides of the ball. Fantastic draft a year ago. How'd they follow it up here in the encore?
I gave them a B, and one of the talking points was that they were going to try early. Their first pick, as you see, there wasn't until pick 42, traded down from 23, that they might get a defensive tackle, and that lasted until day 3, late into day 3. The Marcus Harris pick there at 247, I actually liked him a lot. We saw him in the Senior Bowl. But let's start with Kamari Lassiter, Rick. He ran a 4.64 at his pro day. I thought he was bigger and faster on tape than what he measured. So clearly Houston felt similarly. Blake Fisher, the right tackle at Notre Dame. Huge upside guy, has yet to live with that potential, but I love the fact that you're continuing to protect your investment in C.J. Stroud. And then, Rick, let's talk about Cade Stover, the tight end there. Another playmaker who played defense not too long ago, and I think his best football is in front of him. Yeah,
it's kind of like the Houston Texans went out and just gorged themselves into free agency. Trade for Stephon Diggs, go and sign Danielle Hunter, trading for Joe Mixon. So they went out there and spent most of their time trying to get that done. So now what they do, it's like, Joe, when you go to a meal and you're trying to fill in the cracks, so that's either with bread or salad. Okay. So this was a bread or salad type draft for me.
Oh, interesting.
They got some very good football players, and one kid that I really like is Kalen Bullock. He reminds me a little bit of, let me throw it back here, Reggie Nelson, except he doesn't tackle as well as Reggie Nelson did, but he came out of Florida. He was like a deep middle safety. This kid has a lot of range and ball instinct, so I thought it was a very solid draft, but it was more filling in the cracks than the meaty part. They ate the meat in the main course during free agency.
Got room for dessert?
We'll see.
Something sweet coming next. Plenty more on CBS Sports HQ. First, a look to see if I had it right. What's Vegas think about this division? Oh, had it right. Texans, your favorites at plus 105. Jags next closest, plus 270. But bunched up at the top, 3 with conceivably good odds to win this division. And then there's the Titans, 8-1 value if you think they can surge.